Good morning, everyone. My name is Sana. I hope I'm audible. I'm Sana Das. Just I'll give a brief intro to myself before we get into the topic of the day. I'm the founder and director for AI and digital for Navanmesh Labs. Navanmesh Labs is a startup company that focuses on developing highly personalized wellness product and the technology behind the product development being AI and machine learning. And it's more of a, I would say, amalgamation of both technology as well as the other that is CPG and FMCG skill that we bring in. So that's briefly about it. And I have around 25 years experience in the industry, primarily into AI and analytics space. I started my career somewhere like in data warehousing, then moved on to advanced analytics, machine learning, and grew with the industry. And currently, I'm focusing extensively on the AI and related technologies. So today's topic, we'll be discussing the emerging technologies, focusing mainly on the analytics and AI space, because covering the emerging technology, all of them in an hour could be extremely difficult and you will not get anything out of it. That's why I have limited to analytics and AI space, and some of them will focus primarily into whatever is coming in maybe short to medium terms. I would say from now to maybe around 2 to 3 years time. So that's the focus will be. And coming to the agenda for the day, this is the broad agenda we have today. First, we'll be covering the dependence on the emerging technologies and how basically the analytics space, what is the, those are the technology we'll be covering. Then we'll go over some of the top emerging technologies, and then we'll go over just discussing on the training and certification which are useful. And if you would like to make a transition from one area to other, how should you plan it? And those will be more pointers and recommendation, no concrete details. And then if you have any question, please do park it at the end. We'll take it then. Thank you. So let's start with the first one. The dependence on the emerging technology. As all of you know, like in our day-to-day, we interact with multiple technology, starting from the best example being in your cell phone. Like we just cannot manage without the phone. But if you look at the technology behind it, it has multiple technologies starting from your artificial intelligence or IoT to even your like near field communication kind of thing. And probably I would like to start with the current pandemic that we have been through or we are still in, how the technology has impacted. If you look at, there has been a huge impact on the time because of the technology. Like some of the examples, which is not ever probably exhaustive list, but some of the things that we have experienced, mostly all of us probably. One is the usage of connected device and the network for especially on the education sector and remote working, where we have been like the whole lockdown period, we have been surviving with that. And then the usage of virtual agents and the chatbot that are heavily used for providing COVID information, getting assistance, understanding the symptoms, and so on and so forth. This has been used by medical people, even on the government side, and whole lot of other industries. And the other thing that has been extensively in use, it's in the location data applications and the map, where it has been used to track the spread of the virus, for health workers and the researchers, where we know where the spread has been more concentrated and which are the red zones, and those applications have been extensively used for this time. But having said that, these are few of the applications that we are talking about here, but there are quite a few limitations and the area of improvements that we have in this. Like if we look at the connected devices or connecting wherever you want, there's like lot of threat to the privacy and security. When I'll cover the security aspects, some of them will go through and will highlight how it has impacted during this time, because there was extensive usage of Wi-Fi, extensive usage of network. So what can be the threat there, how it will be done, how it should be done rather, so which indicates there's a lot of work to be done. And coming to even the consistency of information provided, we have extensively used the virtual agents and the chatbot, but then sometimes the information is not very consistent because of the data readiness and the right time. So that's why sometimes there is a lot of frustration comes when multiple people get multiple pictures instead of a single version of truth. And the other thing, having the network effectiveness, whereas when we are in urban areas, we have comfortably used, there are remote areas where we have not been able to get the access to it, whether it's the school children or even working professional. It has been extremely difficult for them for the lack of network, lack of Wi-Fi. Basically, the point that it indicates, there is a lot of work to be done, and that's why it has become extremely important that this technology should kind of put an emphasis to go forward. With that, actually, the World Economic Forum, if we look at it, they have been putting a lot of effort to work on this. And that's why it has been highlighted that whether it's IoT or AI, they are not just tools, but they have become critical infrastructure. So this kind of pandemic, we have realized this is the importance of the technology, other than the other things that we like to have for the advancement and other stuff. So this is one of the things that has come up at the hour of the need. And if we look at the trend, what has started now, or even for a few years from now, the whole focus, not only on the AI analytics front, but from the whole technology stack, it will be to address the issue that we face the last 7 to 8 months. So with that, we'll go to the next topic, which is the emerging technology trends in AI and analytics. The broad topic that I plan to cover is this. We'll start with AI and go over machine learning, data science, and some of this. And when we cover AI, I'll also cover some of the softwares of AI, which has been critical and how it has been used or benefit in multiple applications. And if you have any question which you feel is a so stuff or you want me to answer it then and there, then you please do put it on the question panel, then I'll accordingly take it. If we can take it at the end, that's well and good. Moving on to artificial intelligence or AI, which has been quite a buzzword as of now. But if we look at the uses, it's actually AI is nothing but it's a set of technology that extends and augments human capability. It enables machine to interact more naturally with people and the environment. That's why we say it's a set of technology that extends and augments human. So if you look at that, the underlying technology of AI is primarily on the deep learning and machine learning. And it comprises of many evolving technology like audio signal processing, computer vision, natural language processing, and predictive systems, etc., which enables applications like facial recognition, biometrics, or your recommended system or virtual agents. Every business in a company has an opportunity to improvise itself using AI. It has been so critical. And it has kind of AI has extends and augments human capability in multiple way. It enables machine to interact more naturally with people and the environment. It comprises of many evolving technology that enables machine to sense, comprehend, learn, and act. Like for example, if you look at computer vision and speech processing used for sensing, natural language processing, and knowledge representation, it's for comprehension. Then similarly, our predictive systems are for multiple taking actions. And for all of these, if we see, the underlying technology has been deep learning and machine learning. So if we look at, these are the application area, we'll go into some of them as we go ahead. And I wanted to highlight only top 3 softwares of AI that are kind of a lot of work has been going on, and we'll see a lot of traction in coming few years. One of them being natural language processing and computer vision and explainable AI. I hope all of you are a little familiar with AI and machine learning concept, but however, I'll try to cover as much as I can. Natural language processing, or NLP, is a field of AI that basically enables machine to read a text, understand, or derive meaning from natural language. When we say natural language, what it means is speech or text, the way we interact naturally on this. And some of the applications of NLP, and to name maybe few, are machine translations, like your spell check, speech recognition, text summarization, or email spam detections, so and so on and so forth. So natural language processing has been kind of in use for last few years, and lot of research and development work has been happening in this area. So as we see some of the data, you will see how this has extended from, I'll cover that in the coming slide. The next is the computer vision. Computer vision is a field that deals with how computers basically interpret and understand digital images or videos. Using digital image from camera and videos and using deep learning models, machine can accurately identify or classify objects or people. Some of the applications area just to highlight will be image recognition or your face recognition, then crowd counting. Crowd counting is one of the example where we used, like in a company, suppose there is a fire incident and people start moving out. How do you count how many employees were in and how many could escape? So that's basically, even in a crowd, you still track the faces and keep a count of it. That's one of the high-end example of that. Other than that, we use in multiple applications. Then similarly for the OCR, a technology to extract information from PDF files, from scan images and the pictures. So there has been a huge advancement in computer vision, and that is going to grow. And the last one that I want to kind of highlight, explainable AI, where we have not yet started doing a lot of work, but this area will see a lot of tractions in, as we next, maybe in a year or two, you will see a lot of traction in that, is the explainable AI. The explainable AI is basically where the business like to understand the decision made by the AI and the reason behind it. Like for example, if AI system recommends for a patient certain healthcare or certain drug, then as a doctor of the patient would like to know why AI has recommended certain thing and what is the reason behind it. because these are very highly critical systems. So for example, even if you take finance, something like a credit scoring or something which is basically you would like to know the reason behind it instead of trusting a black box system. So that is where explainable AI is very critical, and it has started becoming important because these are the business domain where AI is playing a very key role. And however, we would like to know what is the logic behind it, and there are human interest will be there to know that there is no mistakes are done, there is no bias attached to the system. So that is another thing we will be seeing in the current, as we come up. So with that, I'll move to the next. I have some statistics to share with you. So this is basically by Grand View Research. If we look at this, basically shows the computing market by application areas till 2025. So if we look at it, the maximum thing safe to expect in the area of natural language processing, followed by machine learning, and then followed by automated reasoning and information retrieval. So if you look at NLP is still going to occupy a bulk of the business interest. And when we say machine learning has an area, it cuts across a lot of other areas. So there are a lot of other improvements as we'll discuss, we'll see that will also come up. And if we look at from the growth of AI solution, the spending, as we can see here, it will go kind of a fourfold. So if we look at in 2018, it was $24 billion, but in 2022, it has been projected as 77.6 billion, which is a good 37.3% CAGR. So which basically shows there is going to be huge change here, and there is a growth, like this area is going to grow, and there is a lot of need for the same. So then we'll move on to machine learning being the next area. The machine learning is basically, it's a branch of AI, as we say, and it's based on the idea that the system can learn from the data, identify the underlying patterns, and the decisions are made with minimal human intervention. Basically, instead of doing extensive programming, we provide the data, the training data, and that's how the machine extrapolates. And the machine learning as an area has been highlighted. If you look at the market research data says it's expected to grow to 8.81 billion by 2022. And we'll see some of the application which makes it actually elaborated. And before we jumping into that, machine learning falls into three broad categories. One is supervised, one is unsupervised, one is reinforcement. Supervised learning, where it's more of a label data that we use. It's a task driven, where you give a data which has already training data which are labeled, and the machine basically understands from there and does the prediction. Some of the typical example is your regression, linear regression, where basically we do, like, one of the probably very common example is the housing price prediction. Whereas in unsupervised, it's more of data driven, where we have unlabeled data. We don't label the data until it's basically the machine learning algorithm finds out the pattern between in the data and accordingly identifies. That's where the clustering or association, those kind of problem statement that comes. And the reinforcement, which has kind of still it's picking up, we have started using it. That is the algorithm that learns from the environment or from its mistakes, where basically it's kind of machine is trained, and based on the end result, or the implication. Machine takes the input and accordingly the algorithm improvises itself. And coming to some of the application, I'll just say this is not an exhausted list. There are many more areas. I just wanted to highlight very briefly some of the areas. If we look at it, it's kind of cuts across almost all the industries. So we're starting from healthcare, like in healthcare, if we look at in the current pandemic, one of the big area is the drug discovery, where a lot of companies are working on it. And there we use a lot of machine learning applications. Here is done to do the drug, and even starting from not only doing the drug, the compliance, starting from the testing, the full life cycle is done using that. Then other than that, there is the hospital readmission prediction. This is recently it has picked up a lot, where a lot of hospitals, they use the system to know if a patient who comes when gets released, what is the probability, looking at his current status and the health condition and the medical complications, he will be readmitted in say next few months or few quarters, so that accordingly the doctor will advise or plan the medication. So that's how there have been a lot of other applications that are there across, and some of them, like suppose in the marketing, the dynamic pricing, which has like really taken up now, where we basically, based on the market condition changes, the pricing does. So that's also similar case in the travel and hospitality. So as I said, this is not an exhausted list, just I wanted to highlight few. Will not go over each one of them because of the time constraint. But there are other things, and if we look at some of them, use a combination of the algorithm that we discussed. And then machine learning, the good thing on machine learning interacts with all other technology and application to provide the solutions, because it seamlessly works with IoT data for travel and hospitality industries to give you some of the personal recommendation while you are on move, for example. So moving on, the machine learning market, this is basically 2019 data by Statista. If we look at, these are the top spending in the market in the AI space. So if we look at the data actually from past, the machine learning applications and machine learning platforms together is having more spending than all other data that you see, starting from the robots, computer vision, NLP, and so on. So which indicate that there is a lot more demand and application that are in machine learning we are used. So because it integrates very well with all the other technologies, whether it's with your NLP or RPA or even CV. The next will be covering data science. So actually what we saw, that data science and machine learning or AI, they're very much overlapped area because they complement each other in some or other way. And data science is, again, it's an interdisciplinary field which requires multiple expertise to contribute to the area. So it requires a business or a domain expertise. It requires programming. It requires a good statistical or maths knowledge to do the data analysis, to derive insight from the data. And the data, when we see a varied of data, it's starting from text, image, and video data. And as we go with the new applications like sensors or IoT applications or chatbots, those will be multiple data that will come, and we are also going to see a lot of real-time data that are coming in, and even the geospatial data that we see. with those the data science area has to accommodate. That's why you need a whole lot of kind of technology surrounding it to grow, to support those information. That's why this area will be, as we grow, it will kind of have a lot more application that we see even now. So maybe I plan to take you through some of the roles of data science as well, which was published by Gartner recently. It basically speaks about the role, which is a multi-persona area. So the key role that they have indicated is here for. So I'll tell you what are the other roles and how they overlap. But we'll start with the middle, which basically covers the life cycle of data science, starting with business. The business understanding is the first thing that we do or understanding the problem statement. So which is the business, then you do data collections, up to data ingestion, exploration, then going up to developing the model, testing, and then development and delivery. So if we look at here, the role wise, first, the domain experts, where actually the business understanding or the problem statement, business problem is defined. So we expect everybody to have all the knowledge in certain degree. Like for example, the domain expert will have strong expertise in understanding business. So that's where he plays the role. Then comes the data engineer, what we call, where from all the data collections, data profiling, data ingestion, all those are taken care by data engineers. And then from data exploration to your exploratory data analysis, feature engineering, machine learning or testing, that is taken by data scientist. And then the next session that comes is when we do the development or the delivery of the system, they are the developer ML specialist. They kind of contribute. But having said that, this is how the full cycle closes, but then the role has a lot of overlap. If we look at the domain expert, not only they understand the business, currently if you look at the projects, they're extensively also involved in doing model development. And they also do a lot of testing. When we do testing, some of the testing, because it being a very highly business driven area, so it's actually the testing is also involves the domain experts. Similarly, it is not only the data engineer who do the data basically collections and data cleansing or profiling. Even data scientists also get into it, so that when we do the data curation, we accordingly prepare the model and architecture and so on. And right now there are other new areas that have come in, like DevOps, MLOps, and other roles that kind of it mixes with all these areas. So these are basically the 4 roles, though we identify on a broad level. The other roles they fit in, and I would say all the roles they understand and complement each other, and they overlap at some or other points. But whereas we identify certain strength, like certain strength we expect the data scientist to be really good at, or the domain expert to be really good at. Suppose I'm dealing with a finance application, then I will expect somebody who is having a very good finance expertise, so that I understand the nitty-gritty of the solution. I also do a model which is appropriately managing all the requirements that the underlying data elements will have. Okay, so coming the next area that we'll be covering is the big data. Big data, as we all know, it's kind of, we speak a lot about the 3 V's of big data. This is the Gartner definition of big data, where you talk about it's basically the high volume, high velocity, and high variety of information assets. And basically this demand in by the cost effective manner and processing in a timely fashion. so that we derive insight and help in decision making. Like some of the examples, like we have seen in the Walmart or the Facebook, the kind of information this year Walmart is, this is 2019 data, which handles 1 million customer transactions per hour. And similarly, with the IoT device and sensors, it results in billions of new and constantly updated real-time data feed which involves multiple informations, whether it's a location and the environment or all other that it interacts with. Similarly, the clickstream data captures the user behavior in a millions of seconds. And the big data that comes in a multiple data forms, that is where the variety plays a big role, whether we do a 3D data or geospatial data or audio, video, and now with the new data that are coming in, say sensor data or IoT data, big data as an area will grow. And as like we know big data and small data, when we say small data, that's another aspect of it. They have a lot in common, and both have its own strength, and we'll be needing them as we come, and lot of the underlying technology that will be operating on will be similar. And this is basically to highlight the areas where big data analysis has been done very extensively. As we can see, to no surprise, social media data has been the maximum usage of big data. Then the documents are the text, and followed by the clickstream media. So, but this is, however, this is going to change, and these new areas of usage comes up, and then cloud technology coming in. This will kind of change, but however, the big data being an important technology stack will still remain. Next topic I'll be covering is augmented analytics. And this is one area that is going to be very, very critical as we go ahead, because in the recent, if any of you would have seen the Gartner top technology trends, the human augmentation was one of the key things, and that is where it comes in. And as per Gartner, by 2020, augmented analytics will be a dominant driver when you purchase analytics or business intelligence. So basically, what is augmented analytics? Augmented analytics is basically, it's a combination of your AI and analytics. It comprises of both the technology that complement each other. So it uses the technology like machine learning and AI, to assist with the complete data life cycle, starting from your data preparation to insight generation to the providing the explanations. The complete thing is automated by using machine learning and AI, so that the key user of the data, who are the business users, they won't have to depend on the data scientists or the data experts to derive meaning of the data. So that is the underlying concept of citizen data scientist. So that any executive or business user, they can manage their data, derive the information by themselves, and at the same time, the data scientists or the experts, they won't have to spend a lot of time like creating can report or creating dashboard. Other they can do the high-end actual data model development and other works that really require those expertise. And the benefits of this advancement will be, one is the democratization of the usage of data. So that will make the business users to make decision based on the data without depending on the data scientist or the IT folks. And the other thing will be going beyond the doing a predictive system, you can get into prescriptive system, where the system can also kind of help you to know what you should do to do certain things in future. So prescriptive analytics, though we have been talking for a while, this is where it will help. So some of the work, if you look at on the preparation side, already it has started and it has been done. In the few years, like maybe coming to, as it will take a lot of traction, that is the prediction and that is the market trend which has been seen. So if we look at the augmented analytics market, what we see is the prediction is in 2008 it was 4.8 billion. This is a global number, and by 2013 it will go to 18.4, which is a 30.6% jump in the numbers, which is quite huge actually. This is one area, and the skill wise, I do not highlight what are the skills you need, because as we discussed, you can really understand, I hope, what are the skill required. One is the augmented analytics. If we look at it, it completely based on automations, and it reels a complete stack of machine learning and AI and deep learning technology to automate the whole system. So that's where it will. So if you have to basically have the skills of machine learning being a core and deep learning, you need a lot of neural network, hands-on, in-depth knowledge to have this. So all this area that we see a lot of skill set that is overlapped. And next, next we have the IoT or Internet of Things. And IoT, as we have already started using, though it is not extensive in some of the business critical way. It's a large network of connected devices and that interact and share data. Probably some of us already used, where we use our phone, kind of track at home, even if we are remotely outside, we kind of operate some of the things in our home. And even the same way it has been now, it's enabled, you can operate any system in your home, whether it's your washing machine or freeze or anything, to like even if you are remotely. But those are like very smaller applications. But as we go ahead, there are going to be much more larger application areas, like agriculture to even smart cities. Like in agriculture right now, the way it is, farmers now can use the sensor data, like basically using the sensor, they do the water management system, and it alerts them the excessive usage of water. So the water wastage can be managed, plus certain crops they can manage wherever the ideal water is required. Similarly, the weather pattern, with the weather data, they can accordingly put. And this is where the augmented reality or AR system technology that are used. And as we discussed now, similarly, those technology are assisting to track and monitor the system. So in this agriculture way, it's done completely on a sensor based, and it monitors the water use, it monitors the soil temperature, what is the moisture content, and what is the status of the crop. And accordingly, it provides in a very small kind of a summary way, so the agriculture or the farmers, they can get that accordingly plan it. Then another interesting application is the smart cities, because right now in US there are already, they have started establishing the smart city where they collect a lot of data on daily basis. There the augmented analytics can be used to simplify the data in order to increase a lot of city management activities like transportations, looking at the traffic congestion, or even predicting some of the natural disasters like fire and so on. So this is another application. Similarly, lot of things like healthcare has been one area. They have already used a lot of systems on the IoT base, where doctors are very effectively using it. And but if you look at it across all the business domain, this usage has been there, and it has started making an entry into all the application areas. And as per the Gartner forecast, the enterprise and automotive IoT market will grow to 5.8 billion by 2020, which is 21% increase from 2019. I don't know how much this data will now be valid looking at the current pandemic, but however, it will not be completely the same. There is definitely a growth, and as we can see, there is a demand on the technology advancement. And this is the Statista data that I have shared here, which basically shows that IoT connected device projected to be 75.44 billion by 2025. And that we can see why it will be so, because of the large application areas. And again, the skill set that is required here is very much the underlying technology that we have been discussing so far. The next we came to the RPA, or robotic process automation. This is an interesting area which lot of country actually have a lot of, in fact, wholesaler and other systems that I have been using, like SoftBank has uses RPA very extensively. It's basically a process of automating the workflow with the help of robot or robotic softwares to reduce the involvement of human. So it's a technology is basically used to automate any of the daily tasks. Like if you want to automate your replying your emails, or even to, because it's like a robotic process, you can always program it to make a cup of coffee for you, or processing a transaction, doing things. So it's going to be pretty popular, which has already started using it. But in large scale implementation, it is still in a area where it is kind of coming up. But in coming few years, it's going to be very critical, and lot of emphasis will be there. And some of the popular RPA tools and vendors, as I have put, is Blue Prism, UiPath, and so on. So out of that, Blue Prism is one of them. They have a lot of other features, but however, all others are like kind of comparable. If you go through them, there are a lot of comparison in terms of feature and efficiency are available in the site. And companies wants to use RPA tool because this is a lot of things can be automated, but the demand for the RPA professionals is huge, but the number of people available is very less for obvious reason. So this is one area that is going to pick up a lot in terms of job opportunities and career prospect. If somebody is really interested in the area that fascinates, probably this is a very good time to kind of, start on that. Then the last I wanted to cover on the cyber security. This has been a very critical area, and this is refers to all kinds of, that situation that we see because of the security issues. It refers to the practice of your safeguarding your servers, or even networks, or your data, or even programs, especially in the time of AI, and we're talking about now IoT, a huge amount of data that we deal with. So the privacy and security becomes a lot most important. And then there is a lot of cybersecurity challenges that we come up because of the digitization that we are going through. And then there's a lot of firms are also coming up using AI for doing multiple systems development, for doing the detect came to the, just 1 second, sorry. I have some data to share. Yeah, so this is basically on the cyber security area. This is basically what has been research published by Checkpoint. This is in the COVID time, 71% of security professional noticed that it increased in security threats. And the kind of, if you look at the data they have given, the maximum being phishing, which is 55%, to going up to even malware, then ransomware attack, because of the involvement of the system, because we dealt with a lot of applications that could be used. So this is one area probably that needs a lot of attention now, and it needs a lot of people to kind of, which again we lack the required skill set there. So if you look at the number, we by 2021 there is a need for 3.5 million cybersecurity professionals, which is very huge, and this is almost like a dying need. And this, with the addition of cloud, this has become very critical. So when we talk about cloud, it's like cutting across all the vendors, whether you are talking about Amazon, we are talking about Google or Microsoft. All of them are working hard, and everywhere like there is a huge amount of opportunities there. And it's a now it's not only coming to what we used to be the so-called only the secure software security. It has gone up to AI, IoT, and all kinds of systems. The cyber security as an area has become a very interesting and challenging area. So I don't want to recommend any particular training or certifications, because everybody needs, depending on the level, could be different, and all our learning style is very different. So rather we'll discuss any broad pointers I would like to give. Is certification important? That comes the question. Can I learn without a certification? The answer is yes. But the certification have that showcase your credentials if you are applying for a job. So if you are going for certification, go for one which is really good and just proudly display in your resume. So I would rather say that. So certification helps on that way. And there are plenty of training and certification institutions are there. But instead of going through it, maybe you should look at the review, look at your requirement and kind of fit into that. But you can do a lot of self-study before actually you get into it. That also works well, so that you already go through the prerequisites and you are ready to start with that. And choose the certification appropriately. I would like to emphasize on that. Start with your current level. Don't jump into an advanced level or a medium level. Suppose you want to get into data science, don't be too aggressive in terms of timeline, saying I want to master it in next 1 month, and start in a level which will be extremely difficult. Look at the prerequisite, look at your current level, look at your background, how you can do, and accordingly plan it. So, and the other thing, if you are in the area of data analytics, data science, AI, machine learning, or similar space, then the first what I would suggest, look at the prerequisites, because these are the area which has a lot of inbuilt requirements for a lot of prerequisites, skills. So like statistics, linear algebra, calculus. So these are, if you are already from a math background, you are familiar, then it's pretty good. If not, try to kind of get familiar. You don't have to be an expert in statistics for this, but you have to know how to do a matrix operation, for example. You have to know basic calculation. or you have to know basics of linear algebra. Get familiar with those so that you are able to actually understand the intricacy of the algorithm that you are going to deal with. And similarly, it's very hands-on expertise is required no matter which level you are in. Whether you are just starting as a fresher, you are already 15 years or 25 years in your career, you have to be hands-on. So have a expertise in programming. Choose your programming language as you see and what you like, whether it's R or your Python, whichever is popular or whichever is working now and you like. So you choose accordingly, but have the expertise and completely hands-on expertise. And to showcase that, the best way to get best out of what you know or what you are learning is to develop projects. It helps in multiple ways. One is you take a problem statement, take one of the free data sets that are available and develop an actual business case using any of the algorithm that you are learning, so that you also know what is lacking, what are the other things that you know, what you do not know. Secondly, you also know what are the different intricacy, why if you are developing a model, what is the accuracy of the model it means, what is a recall, what is like how good is your model, where you should look at whether it's a true positive is important or false positive is important. So that to understand. Second thing, when you apply for a job, that is the best way to showcase that you actually know, because you will, when you start your first job, obviously you don't have data science expertise. So, but if you have already done projects, share your GitHub or your, if you have done a Google Colab projects, share there. And these are basically, Google Colab is one of the platform. It's an open source platform like GitHub. And I would strongly recommend use Git and GitHub for your storing your projects and showcase with others. So plan it out depending on your current level, your aspiration, which area you want to go in, completely develop a plan and accordingly work on it. Next comes how to make a transition. When we say that, basically suppose you are in one area and you want to get into another area, how do you go about it? So these are basically few recommendations that I have. One is do a lot of research on it. Keep yourself updated about the industry that you want to switch to. Suppose you want to go to cybersecurity. Do a little research, what's happening, what's coming up, what are the challenges, and track the industry trends. Subscribe to different website, channel and blog posts so that you know what's coming up, what are the pain points, what is happening, so that you are equipped with the knowledge. And then accordingly upscale yourself. When you upscale yourself, my recommendation will be first try to use your existing skill. Suppose you have been working into a supply chain or you are into finance. Use your domain knowledge to start with. So that gives you a good start in terms of you are confident, you are complementing as a domain expert, then you start learning. Or you are a technology expert, or even if you know Java, start from there. So try to use your existing skill. That kind of gives you some amount of benefits. Look at the prerequisites, start with the basics and prerequisites. And try to connect with the industry experts and other people who are already into the industry for various formal and informal mentoring. And when you say mentoring, it may not be complete hand-holding. It could be, say, basically sharing your thoughts, validate your understanding, or if you're planning something before that you want to bounce back, it could be anything. And keep up with the new advancement, what's happening. For that, please do participate in seminar, conference, and similar forums that kind of tells you where things are going. And this is, I would strongly recommend, participate in forums like hackathons, multiple technology competition that happens every day, and these days it happens all virtual, so it doesn't matter where it happens, you can still participate and be active in meetups, so that way you meet other people, get to know things. Where networking also becomes a lot of, like, it's very important to share your thoughts, get to know even what's going on, because there's a lot of things are happening in this area, and so that keeping up every day, it will be very difficult for you unless you gather information in multiple fora. So that's basically in a nutshell what I wanted to cover. With that, we come to the end of the session. I'll open for question. I'm sorry I took a long time. I will maybe open for around 15 minutes for the Q&A. I hope that's fine. Yeah, it's open to the participants and Arham.
Hi everyone, there's a Q&A section there. So you can type in your queries there and we'll answer accordingly.
Yeah, I see a question from Mona Lisa. Can we get this PPT? Mona Lisa, this PPT may not help you. And since this is I'm using in multiple program, if you can tell me what exactly you are looking for, maybe I can help, or any of the data that you are looking for. But overall, it's a very broad, more of like, that may not really help. There's a question from Rachit. Showcasing projects on GitHub would be sufficient to procure a job for experienced professional. It's not sufficient. I would say it is necessary, Rachit. Like when I was in, say, Oracle or Accenture, whenever I hire anybody, I look at what they have done. If you have done a project and I can show the kind of projects I have done, then I will know you have an exposure. So that way it will help. You are an Oracle developer. Oh, that's very good. So you can do something that way, you can at least showcase what you have done. It's like, when you change a project, you say what you have done in your previous organization. So with that, it says, okay, you have expertise in Java, you have worked on, say, Oracle BI. But if you do this way, somebody knows, or if you are hiring manager understand, these are the skill set that you have, or you have done this kind of complex projects. So that way it definitely helps. There's a question from Swami. I don't have any experience. What should I do now? Yeah, Swami, as I said, depending on what course you took in Simply Learn, based on that, suppose you took, say, machine learning or whichever area, accordingly in those area, whatever project, Simply Learn, I believe, like they do a lot of hands-on projects. So those projects, suppose it's I don't know which area, if you can oh, it's in AI. So if it is AI, if you are into, say, interested into NLP, or you are interested into CV or predictive, accordingly start focusing on that area, start developing few projects, participate in multiple forum, and start applying. Since you are a fresher, you can start any of these applications. To start looking at what are the market needs, where your interest lies, and start applying. I see this was a good session. I have a query regarding transitioning people from program management with 20+ experience. How do you make transition we know making transition at this level. Yeah, I agree, because if you have a 20 plus year experience and you want to make transition, you have to be much more patient. But what I would say, it's not impossible because of this new technology. A lot of people are actually switching. Like I see doctors who are practicing doctor, they get into AI space now. There be finance people. A few years back, I have seen there are chartered account finance people, they got into it. And they basically, that's why I say, start with your own core expertise. If you are into program management, get leverage that expertise and get into it if you are getting into AI space. So that way you have certain things to carry with you because you are a more experienced professional, and then you start learning new things. Here nobody minds if you start starting from scratch, because there are so many new things people keep learning from scratch. Yeah, Niharika says you're working as supply chain manager in manufacturing. What are the things I have to update for data scientist job? Niharika, if you want to continue in the supply chain area or in manufacturing area, please do see in those area how the data science kind of things are, what is happening there, and some of the application that I highlight. Similarly, you see what are the kind of changes that are happening, but then knowing your data science basics is mandatory, right? So after that, you get into those particular domains. Since you have the domain expertise, then it will be pretty good if you focus on those domain and start building from there. There is a question from Nitin. Okay, Nitin, you are in construction industry. You are facing difficulty in transitioning to data science. Well, what roadmap should I follow and break question data science project? Okay, basically, Nitin, you are in construction industry, you want to transition into data science. See, actually, if you are taking a break, kind of to focus on the learning and brushing the skill, that's actually absolutely fine. But what I would say, in parallelly, also start being very active in the professional sphere. When I say professional sphere, whatever you have learned, start also participating in hackathons, in meetups, develop projects, and take up some of the, like Kaggle is one of the real wonderful forum. Like even if you don't get into the competition, there are a lot of challenges that keeps coming on every week basis. Some of them try to do, even if you do one problem in Kaggle, that gives you a lot of kind of confidence. So do that, and so that you will get, you have to start from scratch because you have never worked on it, which is fine. So but start with the application here. Whatever you have learned, start applying them. Jeffrey, I'm working on data warehouse for 4 years. What are your recommendations for growth? Yeah, Jeffrey, actually data warehousing, if you have, then I would assume you have a good understanding of data warehousing, BI and analytics area. Now, as we saw in augmented analytics, that's more of, collaboration between analytics and AI. So I find it will be completely fine with you to slowly, because there are a lot of underlying principles will be same in the data layer. Only in data warehousing or BI, you mainly deal with dashboards and a canned report, and later on you will move on to others. So you have a good background. If you have data warehouse, you will understand data lakes. You will understand other the first layer of data preparation, what the typical data engineers do. So start from there, what you build on what you have done, and start from there, and then slowly you pick up machine learning and AI and integrate with your BI knowledge. Mona Lisa, I missed past few minutes of the discussion ML algorithm. If you please briefly discuss, I'm DB2 SME with cloud knowledge, completed master program data science. Mona Lisa, I really don't know in DB2, when you say you are a DB2 DBA and SME with cloud knowledge, see again it comes down, and if you look at say data science, it's a very broad area. It cuts across multiple business area, multiple technology. So first you have to see where you fit in, look at where you would like to kind of, see yourself, accordingly plan it. So even if you know DB2 as a DBA, right now with the cloud, a lot of things are changing. So maybe if you look at cloud is another area, probably your transition will be smooth. But that again depends on your preference and how you want to plan your career. Ankita has a question. Usually I've noticed that many recruiters are asking how many years of experience in Python or R. When you say we have worked on some projects, but experience is definitely not 1 year in the programming language. So even if we have past experience in other domain, becoming a challenging, there are really accepting our profile. Would you advise what should be our starting point? SAP technical. See, actually, Ankita, it's like this. Probably the reason being Python or R, as I said, here, no matter how senior you are, everybody expects you to be hands-on. And hands-on means you should know programming. So that's why they say, but see, it's like if you have done projects, maybe not in your company, but done by yourself, that also counts, right? So that's why if you have done, say, on your own some of the Python or R projects, that also you count as your experience and show them in that way. And since you are working on SAP last 11 years, SAP Leonardo, it's an excellent platform. So if you understand that, that itself is a ML platform. So try to leverage those. Okay, is there any Aurul? Yeah, I just missed your question. From technical background, I had completed master program in data scientist, but are now finding it difficult job interview. Arun, since you have Scale and BI, Microsoft, SSIS, SAS, I don't think that will be a problem. But however, I do understand since you have 15-year experience, you will expect certain level of job, or you would not like to have an entry level job. But what I would what I would suggest, brush up your skill. You may not get a job which will give you 15 years kind of profile, because the technology stack, everything is different. Try to see where you will fit in. It's not what you have done before, but where you can do the job. If you can actually do the job of a data scientist, accordingly prepare yourself and project on your CV and do some projects which can demonstrate, yes, you are ready for it. But first, you have to have the confidence that you are ready to do the complex work that a data scientist deals with. I think I covered most of it. Anything I left, let me have a look. There is one question from Rajgopal. I see the point with respect to data scientist. I do not see anything relevant considering program management background. Yeah, actually program management, the role has changed if I look at it, Rajgopal, because of the agile and, like a lot of other things that have come in this. So if you are in program management, you try to see if you can upskill yourself into those areas. Because like if you look at DBA, right now no more we need DBA in a company, because of the clouds coming in, the whole face of the job had changed. But however, you can upskill to cloud, you will be really in demand. Similarly, if you want program management, if you can go into agile development or DevOps are really like now in demand. So, or some of the ML ops role, then that will be good. So try to see if you can fit into the new framework and plan accordingly. One more question from Dharmendra. I'm an experienced working business analyst from finance industry. Now they extend my interest in AI machine learning and interest in NLP and deep learning image classification. How should I start and get into it? Yeah, Dharmendra, is like this. If you are into finance industry, what I would suggest, leverage your domain expertise and try to do certain, as I said, again, you have to hands-on. So try to do some, take up some of the problem statement in finance relating to NLP and deep learning, and accordingly build some of the expert. First thing is like starts with, you should be confident that you are, whatever job you are applying, you can manage it if you are getting selected. So accordingly prepare yourself, do some projects, and accordingly apply for for the job with appropriate articulation in your resume. Nitin, do you have to compromise salary expectation if you have more than 8 year experience in another industry? As you would be. See, Nitin, I can't really comment on that. It depends which industry you are in, what is the current salary you are getting, and then if you are where you are joining in data science. Data science, I would not say it's a highest paying job, maybe not. So, and because where you are moving, that also matters, and which label you join. But however, it depends why you want to change and what kind of interest you want to pursue. You know, so accordingly you decide. I would not say just for the money's sake you transition, because if you're 8 years and you apply for a fresher, and if you are an industry which is high paying, that may not really suffice. So look into those. That I'll not be very sure if I can comment on the CTC front.